Hello, everybody. My name is Milo Edwards, and I've written a series of articles that I hope stimulate conversation between men and women because we need this conversation for our relationships to grow. And the first of those articles is called In Defense of Women of All Shades, the 10 Worst Things a Man Can Do in a Relationship. Now, I consider myself a sincere man and excellent listener. At times I'm very puzzled by what men and women say about one another. One of which is when a woman says, "You just don't understand," or "You don't get it." For years I've sought to understand and get it. I've listened to women speak, and I must say I've found a number of women egotistical, irrational, selfish, controlling, and determined to get whatever they want at all cost, and they don't care who they step on along the way. Um, and some women are, I hear a lot of women also say, "I just want a man to be my equal." And their equal is right here. But then when you look at their list of what that they want from a man, the man would have to be here, to be their equal. And that doesn't seem too equal to me. But I've also been blessed, I've truly been blessed with talking to women who are just genuinely loving, honorable, and respectful. These are the women that I choose to be around, communicate with, appreciate, and grow with. I write this note in their defense to inform men of the 10 worst things they can do in a relationship with the type of woman that I love, honor, and respect. I'm no authority, but I have an open mind and I think in depth. I remove my ego, and this is my absolute truth. So for the most part, I find that men are surface thinkers, and they rarely go into depth until they find the relationship is in a bind and they're forced to go in depth. Their egos keep them in a delusional state a lot of times, which creates a false sense of what's real, and thoughts based on a false sense of what's real only leads to a crumbling relationship. In defense of these same men, though, I have to say, if they are involved with those women that are egotistical, selfish, and controlling, and want anything at all costs, they're kind of behind the eight ball, and the best thing they can do is just get out of that relationship, run as fast as possible. But if you want to stay with one of those loving, honorable, respectful women, number one, you cannot be controlling. You cannot be controlling and try to dominate your woman and call it love. Your lack of control in the outside world doesn't mean come home and demand this is my castle. Yes, it is your castle, but you have to respect that there is a queen there also, and you have to nurture that relationship if you want that relationship to grow. Number two, she is not your mama. She is not there to raise you, clean up behind you, and all of that. What woman could be excited about a man that she has to follow behind like a child? She'll be a good listener, accommodating, uplifting. That is if you're doing the same to her. So stop thinking me, and see what's going on with her. Ask her how her day is going and how you can make it better. So, number three, confusing sex with making love. Know that having sex is a physical act. Making love is emotional and an expression of a real connection with your lover. And trust me, she'll feel it when it's real. By the way you touch her, the way you cuddle, the way you speak to her, the way you look at her. That woman has to feel loved and be loved. And if you're having a tough time doing that, you might want to go throw on a little Bobby Womack, let him talk to you. Woman gotta have it. Labeling a need, when you act like she really needs your help because she just told you a problem, that's too much. It's not a cry for help. What she really needs most of the time is for you to just listen, just to be there. When she discusses a problem with you, that doesn't mean jump in, take over. She needs you to solve it. Most of the times, women can handle and solve their problems just like we can handle and solve ours. What they just need is a little compassion, a little understanding, and just be reasonable with her and listen and show some concern about what she's going through. That's probably really all she needs from you. She don't need you to jump in and take over. Number 5, just because you want sex doesn't mean that she does. You know, women, they have a different sexual appetite than us, and they're not just blow-up dolls. So don't assume that she should have sex with you on demand. Take some time, you know, give her that look, give her a kiss on the cheek, a little rub on the back. She know what you want. You know, allow her the freedom to choose. You know, if she says no, don't start acting childish and start sulking. You know, she may be saving something for you later. She might have big plans for you later. But if you mope and whine, she might just give you something right then just to get you out of her face. But if you sit back and relax, later on you might get the full court press. So relax. Number 6, sharing the planning of events. Take the initiative to plan something sometime. Don't just sit there all the time and say, oh, do whatever you want to do, baby. You know, she doesn't always want to hear that, you know. She wants you to plan something. Someday just walk in the house or just call and say, hey, we're taking off. Just pack a bag. We're staying overnight. We'll be back tomorrow. She'll be excited about that, wondering, oh, what am I about to do? Oh, we're about to go. You know, she needs some excitement in her life. And help her out with some excitement. Number 7, you know, don't take advice as criticism. When your woman suggests you do something a certain way or handle a situation a certain way, she's not attacking you, criticizing you, blaming you, or condemning the way that you handle things. So stop being so defensive, you know. It makes your woman nervous and kind of puts her on eggshells, and she doesn't deserve that. You know, she has an opinion just like you, and she's just giving you an opinion, you know, a loving opinion as to how to handle it, just like you would give her a loving opinion as to how to handle something that she's dealing with. And number 8, you know, you can't lack affection and romance. Affection and romance is very important to a woman. You can clip a flower out of the yard and give it to her. That might just make her day, brighten her up. Just make sure that you do something that requires a little thought. You know, she may have told you about something that she's been wanting to do, but she hasn't had the opportunity to do it. Make it happen. You know, that will be very affectionate and romantic to her, and just make her day and let her know that you care. Number 9, you stop hiding your feelings, man. You got to give it up sometime. You don't always have to be hard, walking around, I'm the man, you know, I got this, I got this. No, it doesn't have to be like that. You can't be vulnerable. You being vulnerable is a gift to your woman. So be vulnerable to your woman sometimes. She knows you're still a strong man. Just because you're being vulnerable doesn't make you weak. And number 10, this is last but definitely not least, don't be intimidated by your woman's success. You know what? Maybe I should have made this number 1 with the bullet, because there are a lot of men out there that has a problem with a woman being more successful than them. I'm not one of them. But to show true strength in this situation, you should encourage your woman. You don't have to dominate her to show her your strength. You know, encourage and support her in any way possible. You know, you don't have to fear that people will look at you as a loser because your woman is more successful than you either. You know what? You're a winner. And that's why your woman wants you with her, because you're a winner and you all make a winning team. And you just have to encourage, support, and be there for your woman. You thinking you're a loser is nonsense. You know, other people wish they were in your spot, and they're really hoping you act a fool and mess up so that they will have the opportunity to get in that spot. So just be loving and nurturing to your woman, just as she should be loving and nurturing to you in your success. Now, when I wrote this from my experience and conversations with a number of people. You know, I've listened, I've learned, I think I understand, and I hope I get it. So this was written to stimulate conversation between men and women, not blame and point fingers. So if you're blaming and pointing fingers, you're part of the problem, not the solution. So take a positive step to communicate in a loving manner with your spouse, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Just be loving, all right? It's a beautiful thing, and we all want to be loved. Nobody wants to be alone. You might say you want to be alone. I like being alone. No, you don't. You want to be loved too, because love is our natural existence. So you all be loving to one another. Peace.